We're going to start off as usual with the prayers and the arti, and then Angela and Kathy are going to read out of a little booklet that we used to read many years ago when Tony Griss ran the meeting. So they're real short, and they'll randomly pick through it and read something. And then Jamie's going to do a number or a song, and then Irwin is going to tell us whatever he wants, which he usually does. But I'm hoping he'll let us know a little bit about his trip to India and how it was. So if we're all almost ready, so we're going to begin in about 20 seconds, and Bob Upperwood is going to lead us in the prayers, and Astrid in the Australian arti. So if everybody will rise, and we will be on film. Bob, come forward.
All right.
Not you, Bob. Bob, come forward. Two Bobs in a row.
You got it. You sure this is the play?
Just turn around.
I don't know.
Just turn around.
I don't like this place. Don't you have a better place? Oh, promoter God,
the preserver and protector of all.
you are without beginning and without end, non-dual, beyond comparison, and none can measure you. You are without color, without expression, without form, and without attributes. You are unlimited and unfathomable, beyond imagination and conception, eternal and imperishable. You are indivisible, and none can see you but with eyes divine. You always were, you always are, and you always will be. You are everywhere. You are in everything. You are also beyond everywhere and beyond everything. You are in the firmament and in the depths. You are manifest and unmanifest, on all planes and beyond all planes. You are in the three worlds and also beyond the three worlds. You are imperceptible and independent. You are the Creator, the Lord of Lords, the knower of all minds and hearts. You are omnipotent and omnipresent. You are knowledge infinite, power infinite, and bliss infinite. You are the ocean of knowledge, all-knowing, infinitely knowing, the knower of the past, the present, and the future. And you are knowledge itself. You are all-merciful and eternally benevolent. You are the soul of souls, the one with infinite attributes. You are the Trinity of truth, knowledge, and bliss. You are the source of truth, the ocean of love. You are the Ancient One, the highest of the high. You are Prabhu and Parameshwar. You are the beyond God and beyond God also. You are Parabrahma, Allah, Ilahi, Yazdan, Al-Brahmasta, and God the Beloved. You are named Izad, the only one worthy of worship. We repent, God, most merciful, for all our sins, for every thought that was false or unjust or unclean, for every word spoken that ought not to have been spoken, for every deed done that ought not to have been done. We repent for every deed and word and thought inspired by selfishness, and for every deed and word and thought inspired by hatred. We repent most especially for every lustful thought and every lustful action, for every lie, for all hypocrisy, for every promise given but not fulfilled, and for all slander and backbiting. Most especially also we repent for every action that has brought ruin to others, for every word and deed that is given of pain, and for every wish that may should befall others. In your unbounded mercy, we ask you to forgive us, O God, for all these sins committed by us, and to forgive us for our constant failures to think and speak and act according to your will. Amen. Beloved God, help us all to love you more and more, and more and more, and still yet more, till we become worthy of union with you. And help us all to hold fast to Baba's Taman till the very end. Avatar Meherabad ki jai. Avatar Meherabad ki jai. Avatar Meherabad ki jai. O glorious, eternal, ancient one, your face is a bright, transcendental sun. Lighten this our world and the tears I weep. My heart, Meher, I give to you to keep. Creator and creationless you are, truth and truth's body, divine avatar, who through compassion the free worlds maintains. Destroy this ignorance that life sustains. These five lights are the whirling spokes of breath, of the world's wheel that bears me unto death. Unless you who are infinitely kind, break the wheels of which is conditioned mind. Incense is my love, these fruits my heart, which to please you I have shaped from my heart. Accept them as you would a simple flower, that has no use beyond its shining hour. You are myself, I sing to you in praise, and beg your love to bear me through the days, till you, the ever-living perfect one, illume my darkness with your shining sun. Avatar Meher ki jai. Avatar Meher ki jai. Avatar Meher ki jai.
So we're going to start off with two short readings, and these have come out of a little booklet. And when the Serenity meeting was put together, Tony Griss used to run the meetings, and he had these little booklets printed up. And when we go from home to home, that's one of the things we do. We would pass the book around, and everybody could just flip through it, because it's about that big, and just read something randomly.
And it's written by who?
So Angela's going to be the first one, and then Kathy. And I'm going to just start off by 4 words that I believe Baba said. Don't expect, just accept.
Who wrote these? David, who wrote these?
I'm not going to reveal that. You'll have to go to the front of the book. I don't know.
So I believe the verses in this have been composed by Dr. A.N. Deshpande. So they all start with, O mind. So this one is 18. O mind, the name Meher is sweetness incarnate, surpassing in sweetness the nectar and manna, the onrush of surging ecstasy, the waves of celestial joy, which ends all attachments, all desires for things worldly. Jai Baba.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm randomly picking. I got 36. O mind of mind, do you see Dharma, universal moral code, in the service of mankind? 'Tis a path beset with hardships. Then let Meher be your ideal, for he is a service incarnate. For he is service incarnate.
And now we have a guest singer, Jamie Newell.
Newell.
Newell. Jamie Newell?
Now I finally know what you really think of me. Well, this train, bound for glory, this train. This train is bound for glory, this train. Well, this train, bound for glory. If you want to ride it, you must get holy, because this train, bound for glory, this train. Well, this train is a clean train, Lord, this train. This train is a clean train, Lord, this train. Well, this train, clean train, and everybody ride it in my saving lane, because this train, bound for glory, this train. Well, this train ain't had left the station, this train. This train ain't had left the station, this train. Well, this train, it has left the station. This train is passing through every nation, because this train, bound for glory, this train. Well, this train won't pull no liars, this train. Well, this train, it won't pull no liars, this train. Well, this train won't pull no liars, no hypocrites, and no backbiters, because this train, bound for glory, this train. Well, now this train won't pull no jokers, this train. You know, this train, it won't pull no jokers, this train. Hey, this train won't pull no jokers, no tobacco chewers and no cigar smokers, because this train, bound for glory, this train. This train, bound for glory, this train. This train, bound for glory, this train. Well, this train, bound for glory, this train is passing through every nation, because this train, bound for glory, this train.
So I'm going to introduce Irwin Luck, but I did want to say, when I sent the emails out for the Serenity meeting, and I wrote guest speaker Irwin Lucky, and I said, oh, I made a mistake.
No.
And I realized that Irwin was not lucky. It was his love And his connection that brought him to Baba, or Baba called him, but it had nothing to do with luck. It had to do with love. So here he is, Mr. Irwin Luck.
Hi. Okay. Nice to be here. And the food was good too. You know, I brought with me this book, Irwin and the Avatar Circulars. There's a circular that I send out every week, and people get it. And then later on, I was able to compile them all and put them in a book. And this is just the first of 3 books, really. But this one, I selected something to start my talk with, which is called the Nazar. And you will know what Baba's Nazar is. If you don't know, then this will certainly tell you. And it's very important because the Nazar really is where his eye is looking over you for everything. It starts off by saying, what is Nazar? It is when God himself looks over you. It is the eye of God on you. His Nazar is important. It allows you to advance on the paths in realizing yourself as unlimited and infinite. No boundaries to your love, knowledge, power, and bliss, or the beauty of your everlasting existence. He won't take you through the spiritual paths, which is the path through the planes of higher consciousness. This is the path that the advanced beings and saints are on and take you through if you join them. They too have more to go and can take and cannot take you beyond their own level. This is really important because we hear a lot about advanced souls and saints and people that are on the higher spiritual path and have all kinds of incredible experiences. They enjoy tremendous bliss or powers, mainly, and they can manipulate the illusion, which Baba calls it all illusion. But Baba doesn't do that. Baba is not wanting to give you the experience of the planes. So he's not taking us on the spiritual path. He's taking us from where we are to where we should be, and that is the state beyond the limitations of the mind, because all the spiritual path is within the illusory mind. The mind is the master creator of imagination, of illusion. And Baba said that he wants to take you to what is real, not illusion. And that is a state beyond the mind, beyond the limitations of the mind. So we're not on the spiritual path at all. Baba didn't want us on the spiritual path. Perfect masters do not take their lovers, their disciples, the people that follow them, the people that commit to them on the spiritual path, because they're so far beyond that. They are in the state of infinite knowledge, power, bliss. They are in the state of selfhood. And they take you to know your real self and not the dream of that you would experience through the use of the mind. This is an amazing thing. I didn't realize that until Baba began to explain this. that he was putting it this way. He says, look, I come into the dream. You're dreaming, thinking you're awake, because you have a full consciousness. So as a full consciousness, naturally you're going to think you're awake, because everything you see of the illusion of the dream is so detailed, so real. It looks so real that you think it's your reality. But he says, take it from me. You're all sleeping and dreaming. But I am the awakener. I will wake you up in the real sense. He didn't come to teach and to explain all this, which he does do. He does explain everything, otherwise we wouldn't know it. But he comes to wake you up, to wake us up to the reality. Now, how he does that and the way he's going to do that, he just says, stick with me. Wherever I go, you'll go too. And that's the way it works. I like the way it works. I like the way he does things. I had the good fortune of being with Baba and visiting with him for a couple of weeks. And Baba told me something. He said, stay close. Don't go wandering off. Stay close. Mind you, he didn't say don't go wandering off. I just said that. He just said stay close. And close I was. And wherever he went, whether he was in the car and being driven to various places, to his lover's places, his homes and places, he wanted me very close to him, to be wherever he was. I didn't understand all that, why, but I was happy about it because Baba was so friendly. He was so really very loving, and he made me feel like part of his family. And so I'm a part of his family because of that. He had me visiting all the different, his lovers in the area, and the family people. Erich and Merji were two of his very close disciples, and they would take me each day to see a different place. And Baba, because Baba told him to do that. You know, the beautiful thing about Baba is that everybody respected him. They looked to him, and whatever he said, that's what they would do. There was no such thing that you just wander off on your own. Nothing like that. It was what he said. You knew that he knew everything. He was in that consciousness of where all things are known, and you felt confident. You know, you didn't have to worry about anything. You have to worry about your family. You didn't have to worry about going back. You didn't have to worry about whether you were going to schools or what. You know, nothing. He didn't want anyone to worry about anything. He'd take care of it, and take care of it he did. It's very nice, you know, when you have that somebody that really knows what they're doing. Not to say, I'll take care of it, and you don't know what the person knows what he's doing. No, this is a different case. So Baba was really very happy, and he wanted everybody to be cheerful around him. No long faces. You didn't have to have problems. You didn't have to think you had problems because you didn't have it, not when you were around him. Well, this carries over because Baba really has been telling the whole world that. He tells all his lovers that, don't worry, remember me, do the best you can. He wanted you to function, to be not to lie down in bed. He wanted you to function, to do everything as you want to do, but you know, to be to know that you do the best you can and leave the rest to him. And leave the rest to him. We did. Being there, I could see that everybody understood that. They weren't just understanding it. They were living it. There was no thing just to say, you know, to parrot something. No. This is the way you were around him. there was, I'm remembering a time when we went to this little girl's orphanage. Baba was invited to come to the orphanage. And Baba did. He went there. I was in the car with him, and we traveled there, and the children were all embraced, each one. He would embrace each one, and then he embraced the teachers. And it was a very warm-hearted. And when we were in the car together, I said to Baba, you must have really helped them a lot, in their life. What's going to be with them? And Baba just smiled, because, Baba was silent. But he just smiled and he nodded, yes, that was right. One time, I said something to Baba that I asked him a question. I felt, here I'm with the avatar, I should ask something. So I asked this question, if Shri Yukteswar was a perfect master. Now, Shri Yukteswar, for those who may know, was the master of Yogananda. For those who read that book that Yogananda had written. And in fact, it was the book that I read before I even heard about Meherabad. And it really informed me about masters, because I really didn't know anything much about masters. But that did inform me. Nevertheless, I asked Baba that. And Baba said, did you come all this way just to ask me this? You could have written, you could have answered. And I said, Baba, so it's the first, you see, I had the great opportunity of telling Baba to tell God that he's right. I said, Baba, you're absolutely right. I'm telling him he's right. But I understood that he was right. And Baba just smiled. He just nodded, yeah, right. And stop it already. My watch is going nuts. It won't stop, it just doesn't want to stop. And what can I do about it? Everybody's supposed to turn off their phones, and they're supposed to turn off their things, and here I am on on the podium giving a talk, and this thing won't stop. All right, it stopped. Well, anyhow, I want to read something. And I'm not going to read what I was reading. Instead, I'm going to read something that is called The Transforming Lady. And this was really beautiful. I'm going to see where this is. Here it is. The Transforming Lady. And you'll see what that's about in a minute. He was just an ordinary boy. He was riding his bicycle to school when he met the transforming lady. He only saw her each day in passing, but she knew him. Her eyes were filled with love for him. She kissed him on his forehead, and then something happened which no words can describe. He died on the spot. His body was living, but he was not in it anymore. His body wandered around aimlessly. He was somewhere else. His mother thought he might have gone mad, but he was not. The transforming lady worked fast. Enlightenment doesn't take long. A second might be too long. What happened to him was different than what he knew before. Suddenly he became what he always was, the only one in existence. As he later declared, the cosmos is a dream. Only the infinite self we call God is real. Boy, what a change. To go from a boy going to school to the consciousness of being everywhere, in everything, all-knowing, enjoying unlimited bliss and love. Who wouldn't like it? The makings of an avatar. Hazrat Babajan, she was called. She could make a beggar into a king or a boy into everything. One day you will meet your transforming beloved, who will love you so much as to give you the treasure that includes all treasures. When that happens, it won't take long, less than a second, I am told, to become the most beautiful being that ever was, irresistible to the core, someone the world will love and want to become. Oh, Meherwan, you can do this. This is your destiny, to make us what you are. And that's what it's all about. When the avatar comes into the world, he wants to make us what he is. He said it in so many different ways. I come down from the highest level to your level in order to bring you up to my level. How much more simpler can he say it? You know, that's our destiny. That's what we are here for, to be with him, to know him as he really is. When I was with him, he would say, I'm not this body. Don't mix me up with the body. I'm not that. You have to try and see me as I really am. So I thought, good, yes, I want to see him as he really is. Why not? But I didn't say that to him, because you were not going to be flippant with Baba. Baba liked humor. He loved jokes, and he liked to have music and songs and ghazals. He loved the ghazals of Madhusudan, who would sing to Baba, and Baba would call him up, and he would be singing there in front of everybody. There was like maybe 200 people in the hall. And this is what Baba would do. He just had that kind of love. And he loved music a lot. He was always looking for entertainment. But at the same time, when he would give a message, or he would give a discourse, or he would explain things, it was always so enlightening, so illuminating for us to understand. One day he was saying, I can sit here in silence, we can all sit together in silence, or I can say something. So I was thinking, I'm never good at silence. I'd like him to say something. I'm just thinking it. So Baba said, now I'll say something. So he began to tell us things that were very interesting to know. I think one time he was talking about the bliss, and he was saying that we don't experience the bliss, but that this is something that he would like for us to experience. And he said that when the time is right, you'll get that. He gave it to understand. I'm sort of paraphrasing Baba. Baba really was silent. He would through his hand signs and hand gestures, because he had already given up the alphabet board at that time when I was there. And he would use his hand signs and finger motions. And Erich would read what Baba's gestures were. If anybody has any questions they'd like to ask, you know, this is very informal. Please feel free. Well, don't all speak at once, but you know what?
I would like to know how you and Judy experienced your stay in India, and with the division going on between the upper and the lower, all of that stuff.
Upper and lower what?
Well, evidently the lower Meherabad is closed.
Oh, yes.
Time, and the upper is open. So I was wondering if you give us a little idea of what that falls?
Well, this is the policies that they were having at the time because the government was not allowing for foreigners to live at Lower Meherabad, where everybody was living before, where so many were. Instead, they all had to go up to the Upper Meherabad to stay there. Well, Judy and I made our third trip within a year, which I couldn't believe I was actually doing this, but she likes to go, so we go.
Did you just go? Were you just there?
Hmm?
Were you just there?
Yes, we just came back a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And the stay there is very much, I mean, I can say that we go to Baba's Samadhi once each day, at least. Maybe also in the evening when they have the arti. But mainly in the afternoon when nobody is there because it gets pretty hot and nobody, you know, they go for the morning arti, they go for the evening arti. There's all these people, I mean, so many that will go, and there's long lines to go into the Samadhi. So that's why we go in the afternoon when there's nobody there. Then we can just go into the Samadhi and be there as many times we like. And it's been just a beautiful trip to be in Baba's company and his atmosphere. I should say in his atmosphere. People that go into that Samadhi, I've always said, it's like going in and taking a bath where you get cleansed, your mind and your heart and your feelings. And Baba's just present there. You don't have to think about anything else. And I think that's really the high point of it all, that there isn't really anything more to say as far as myself is concerned. And I think Judy feels the same way, you know. And she is nodding her head yes, so, so she feels the same way. I was just sitting at the table earlier, just, you know, having some dinner there, and we were talking about that. And the thing was that, you see, in my case, I like, you know, I like going and I like coming, I like going there and I like coming back. There are people that like to go there and they wish they never, and they feel bad to have to come back. I feel good about coming back, so I got it made both ways, you see. I like going and I like coming back. And then I can go again, you see, some other time. So, you know, that's me.
Irwin, does your experience at the Samadhi in this day and age feel any different than it was years ago? Has it evolved somehow for you?
There's a great difference. When Baba was living, we're talking about that. When Baba was living, everything was focused on him. There was no focus on the mandali or whatever. That only happened after he dropped his body. Then people wanted to know from them what their experience was with him and what happened between themselves and Baba. But when Baba was in the body, there was nothing about mandali. Mandali were just people to serve Baba and assist him in whatever his own work was. But that was all. And the focus was 100% on Baba, and Baba wanted it like that. So there was that difference. But then after he dropped his body, well, now everybody wanted to know, well, what was their experience? Adi and Merji came to the West for the first time in 1960 and 1970. Baba dropped his body in 69. They came in 1970, the first time that any disciples ever came to talk about what happened when they were with him. And it was then that I found some, with my brother Edward, we knew that they were coming into New York. So we thought, oh, well, let's go to New York and let's take a couple of cameras with us and we'll film them also. Just at the airport, you know, we thought, you know, well, we'll film them. But their stories were so good when they were talking there that we started to travel with them everywhere where they went. And so we literally went with them all over the country and filmed not only them, but all the other people too that had met Mayor Baba and had great stories to tell. And then that is what started it all. And then the following year we went to India, and then we went throughout Europe, and we were filming everybody telling all their great stories. And that's how you have so many of these great films now. If you go on YouTube, you'll be able to see a lot of it. And so anyhow, for about 6 or 7 years, we were filming throughout Australia, throughout India, all the different places that people were that lived and had great tales to tell about what happened between themselves, first-hand accounts between themselves and Mayor Baba. We wanted them to tell their personal stories, not what happened to somebody else, but what happened with Baba and you, and the things that Baba said and did with them. So that was a great documentation that was done. Oh my God, there was so many people that we did. I had like 6 or 7 teams of people helping me with this over those years. Then, and then we made this movie, Mayor Baba, Avatar of the Age, in which you have all those must scenes that you were showing me before, that you had some photos of. No one ever knew about must. Baba was the one that really brought out that there were such advanced souls as must. They were on these higher planes of consciousness. And he would go out to them and give them a push forward. And also use them in his general work for humanity. So this is the first time in the spiritual history that there's ever been anything that was explained about must and who they are. And I met some of these musts too when I was in Pakistan with Minu Karas, who was one of the must hunters. And Minu had this 6-plane must that would sit at the gate of the house. And he said he sits there all the time, you know, he sits at our gate, 6-plane must. Because, how did he know it was 6-plane? Because it's one of the musts that he took to Mayor Baba, and Baba said that's what it was, you see. And then there was another one that was his driver. His driver's son was a must. He was a must. And we filmed him also amongst everybody else. Minu said to us, and it's in the film too, you'll see it if you look at that film, he was saying that Baba was that in his search for God, because he had been seeking, he was a seeker before he knew about Meherabad, and he was seeking here, and he would go there and different places, the pilgrimages, and he said, but when he met Mayor Baba, he said, now my search was over. Baba now took care of everything. He just recognized his divinity and his godhood, and he just said, now my search is over. And believe me, I feel the same way. You know, with all that I was doing before I knew about Mayor Baba. And then once I came into his contact, I said, well, there's no more to go. Now it's in his hands, completely. And I imagine many of you have felt the same way too, you know. You see, you don't have to meet Baba physically. I mean, if you can, it's good. I recommend it highly. But I'll tell you this. The only way I communicate with him and contact him now is the same like with everybody else. It's through the mental sphere. In the mind, you see, Baba's mind is everywhere. He's not kidding when he says that. His mind is everywhere. And in his universal mind, it contains the minds of all beings and things. So you can always contact him just by a sheer thought, a direction to him. You can imagine, you can visualize him in his sadra and everything, and you can communicate and say whatever you want to him. And I think the way that Baba works with me, at least, is that he does it through circumstance. If I'm troubled by something, it's the circumstance that changes. Better than a long talk. Actions speak louder than words. It was never more true than with Meher Baba. He does it through action. That's the way he works now. Now, when he was in the body, all right, so then, yeah, I had many letters and correspondence, and Baba was directing and guiding us throughout those years. Fine. Then it was done in that manner. But now, it's the same. It's the way that he liked. You have to try and see him as he really is, not just where you think that he's the physical body. Baba kept saying, I'm not this body. I mean, he said it a lot, not just once. Many times he was saying this. Don't mix me up with the body. I'm not the body. See me as I really am. And you can direct your thoughts to him. And that's how it works in these times. I have something here in which Baba is explaining what happened when he got God realized. The experience, he's talking about his being God realized. So I put it in the book because this is one of the most beautiful things and best things that you can hear of Baba. As long as my phone doesn't ring. I do it with my glasses. Here they are. All right. Okay. I'm writing in here, I will close my book with a ghazal from the boy Merwan when Hazrat Babajan gave him the enlightenment. Later, he was known as Meher Baba. Merwanji, known as Meher Baba, composed the following ghazal dedicated to Babajan. So this is Baba's ghazal. O beloved Master, I am eternally grateful to you. If I had 100,000 lives, I would sacrifice every one of them at your feet. You drowned me in the eternal ocean of oneness and transformed me into an ocean like yourself. In the twinkling of an eye, you made a lover into God, and God I have become. O Emperor of Masters, O Ocean of Mercy, O Perfection personified, Sadguru, if your merciful glance falls on anyone, a beggar turns into a king. Gods, goddesses, angels, celestial beings, and men are all awed by the brilliance of your divinity. O enlightened master of the three worlds, even if I were to transform my body into the sandals of your feet, it would be nothing in comparison with what you have done for Merwan. Isn't that something? This is what he wrote to Babajan, wrote about Babajan. And later I said, you know, everybody needs their Babajan. We all need our Babajan. But then, as I thought about it later, I thought, but actually we have Baba Jan, because in Meherabad, she gave everything to him, which now he's giving to us. So Baba Jan is giving it through Meherabad. There it is. Baba Jan. Baba told me that I was to go to the Samadhi of Baba Jan when I visited him in India in 1960 in Pune. And that was the first place that Baba wanted me to go after he would dismiss everyone for the evening. And I went to the tree where she was and where her Samadhi is. And at that time, I looked at her picture on the tree and I said, you know, this is some woman. Boy, what a lady that is. And what a loving person, too. You know, as much as you can see the depth of a person in a picture, in a photograph, the way that we've seen it with her, she was remarkable. People didn't understand her in her day. A lot of people didn't. There were others that did. And some thought of her as eccentric and mad, like a mad woman, while others looked at her like she was a great soul, a saint of some sort. They didn't know about perfect masters. This is something that Baba explained. Later on, he talked about the people that were God realized. They were not saints. They were beyond that. And that was Baba Jan. You know, that was beautiful Baba Jan. I called her the transforming lady. That's what I read earlier. She can transform you from your limitations, from being a limited being to an unlimited being. Mind you, you're the same person. You're the same one. Nothing changes as far as what you are, except what you experience is different. You experience your selfhood now, whereas now we're experiencing what Baba would say is the dream. You think you're awake, you're sleeping and dreaming. He's come. That's why he came as the awakener. He didn't come to teach, even though he gives the greatest of teachings. But that's not what he came for. He came to wake us up in the real sense. Anyone else want to say anything?
Could you talk about your encounter with Louis von Gastrin?
Louis Van Gastrin?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Well, Louis Van Gastrin, I met him in my taxi. I was driving a taxi because I was trying to make money in those days to be able to go and see Baba whenever Baba might call. In those days, there was just one thing that I wanted, you know, I wanted to be with him. But each time, Baba wanted me to return back. He wanted me to be here. And then he would, or if he called, then to come and see him. Like that. So Louis Van Gastrin gets into my taxi. And Louis Van Gastrin is a noted filmmaker in, I think, Holland, isn't it? Holland? And he's an award-winning filmmaker there. So anyhow, he's in the car, and I had this card, which I kept on the back seat so that people could see it, the passengers that were riding. It said, it had Baba's picture on it. It was a small card, like the size of a business card. And it had Baba's picture, and it said, "Don't worry, be happy. I am the divine beloved that loves you more than you can ever love yourself. I and God are one, Mayor Baba." Mm-hmm. So people would see this. And oh boy, the conversations I'd have about that. So there was this, so he gets into the car, and then he says, all of a sudden he says, no one can love me more than I love myself. who says this? So I said, this is said by Meherabad. He's the avatar of the age. Do you know what an avatar is? So I questioned him, and he said, well, tell me. And then he became very interested, because he wanted now to, after I discussed with him what an avatar is, he says, I make the Mondo films, and these Mondo films were very interesting people, but unusual people in the world. That's what these kind of films were at the time, and he was making that. So he wanted to know if he could go and see Mayor Baba, and whether I would introduce him to Baba. So I said, Baba doesn't need anyone to introduce him. You can introduce yourself. Just you can write to him. But now he's in seclusion, and he's not accepting any visitors or any communications, except in an emergency. You can send a telegram. So he said, oh, well, what to do? So I said, well, look, you can send a telegram. You want to, and you can request whatever you want, it's okay. You don't need me to introduce you. So he later did, and that's how he got to make those films, Baba, at the time, Louis Van Gastrin. But he was in my taxi wanting to meet him, to use him in one of his films. But even then, when he said that he was going to put him in a Mondo Kane film, I said, oh, brother, in my mind I'm thinking this will never happen. But he can come and film, yes. And that's exactly what it was, because Baba was not to be sort of like a freak type of person. And later he came out with this film that was shared with all the Baba lovers. And you can see it, a very nice film. And Baba was discussing about drugs, and he was telling him different things.
Were you in New York City when you got into
That was in New York City, yes.
Okay.
I was a taxi driver in New York City.
Amazing.
That's right.
You take them to the airport?
Yeah, probably. Probably to the airport. I don't recall everything now, just where everybody went. There was one woman that got into the car. Boy, she was a real, she was really something. She gets into the car, mind you, this is unusual, and she says, as we pull off, and I'm taking her to her home, we pull off, and she says, are you going to burn in hell, or are you going to go to heaven? I mean, she was really strong in what she was saying. So I said, I'm listening to her, and she's ranting on, how I have to get saved and all of that. So what to say to this person? So what I did is I took out a picture of Baba that he looked just like Jesus, like Christ, he had that Christ look. And I said to her, after she goes on for about 15 minutes, here, look at this, just look at this. So then she takes the picture and she looks up, oh, it's our beloved Lord Jesus. I said, it's a photograph. And she said, oh, photograph. And then it clicks, how could it be a photograph? No cameras in those days. And she says, oh, it must be the devil. I said, no, you had it right the first time. But there's one thing I didn't understand. How were we able to recognize him so well? I didn't even tell you anything. I said nothing, and you recognized him right away. You must love God very much. By then, we reached her place, and I could see she was like really stunned. She came out of the car, and this was not the kind of ride that she expected.
But did she give you a tip?
Did she give you a tip?
Oh yeah, she gave me a tip too. What? Who knows what? But taxi drivers have all kinds of things happen.
Earlier I asked you about the difference of what it's like in Meherabad now. And I realized that you were there when Baba was there, so that is one thing. To be there when the Mandali there is a whole nother thing, but now there's no Mandali there. Can you speak to what it's like there now?
Well, I never was in Meherabad when Baba was living. I always met him in Pune at Guru Prasad. That's wherever I saw him. The only time I was in Meherabad is after he dropped his body. And then the Mandali were there also. So you were able to hear the stories and, I'll say this, that Mehera, I did meet Mehera in 1960. When I was there, as I said, for 2 weeks, I think it was Arnavas, she came into the room where I was, and she asked me if I would like to see Mehera. At that time, I was still fairly new, because I only knew about Baba about 6 months. But I had been doing quite a bit of reading in that course of that time, so I knew about Mehera from the reading. And I also knew that she was someone that Baba kept in a seclusion with the other ladies, that she didn't meet men. And I'm thinking, is it the same Mehera? But then when I was there, Arnavas said, you come into this other room, Mehera will come in. And it was the real Mehera. And so she was very interested in how come, as a young fellow like myself at the time, that had to come all the way to India to meet Meher Baba. You see, there weren't people doing that at that time. When Baba came to the West, that was different, then people came and met him here. But to go from the U.S. to India, especially just to meet Meher Baba, that was unusual. So she was very interested to know about that. And she was very sweet and very, very nice. So I may have been maybe one of the first men to have actually met her, because then Baba began to take her out of that purdah or seclusion that she was in. And gradually she was coming out to start to meet people afterwards. But I did get to see her at that time, Did that answer your question?
No. I'm trying to drag you into right now. What is it like there now that those are in the past? It's got to be somewhat different.
Well, considering from the first time I was there was when Baba dropped his body. As I said, that was in 1969. And there's been a lot of improvement. Even in India, when I would travel in India in those days, my God, it was so poverty-stricken. The land was so parched, it looked like it needed a good dunking. But now, everything is so much nicer and more modern, and technology has come to India. The place has been built up a lot since the trust began to fix everything. I mean, it's quite different than the way it was. When Baba was there, it was much more run down. It was not like you see now. And now it's been fixed a lot, I would say, as far as the physical appearance of the place.
How does the spiritual atmosphere feel?
The spiritual atmosphere is the same. I don't see any difference in that. the atmosphere of the samadhi, the atmosphere of just the whole area, to me, that's the same. There's no change in that. Not in the atmosphere. In the physical conditioning of the place, yes, but not in the atmosphere. And I'll point out something. When I first came there, and Baba had just dropped his body, there was this incredible intoxication in the, for 4 days it was like that. The place was so intoxicating. I mean, really intoxicating. And I remember Harry Kenmore was one of the people that was there at the time also. And he said, this is intoxicating. And he was really right, boy, it really was. And it was like that for 4 days. After we remained there, my brother Edward and I, for about 3 months, and we didn't return until the darshan was finished, because Baba had said that everybody should come to be there to see him. He was welcoming everybody, and I think it was in April for a few weeks. Each week there was going to be more people coming. And so I went back with the last group to New York, but I stayed the whole time for, I don't know, maybe about 3 months, and didn't return until the last, because Baba said that when he wanted you to come to the darshan, and when you did, then you should go straight back home. You see, not to go anywhere else, not to stop anywhere, sightseeing or nothing, just go straight back to your home. And so I did that on the last week of that particular great darshan that was going on in Pune. That was back in Pune. But I was staying in Meherabad the whole time.
So did you get God realization this last time?
He wants to know if I got God realization. Why should I tell you if I did? You wouldn't believe me anyhow.
Give you more respect.
But the answer is no. But that's coming, you know. What's the rush, you know? But when it happens, it'll be now. Because it's the only moment that ever existed. Now has no beginning or end. Otherwise, there's a past and future in imagination. Think about that.
Is that your experience?
That's what I've been told. You know, Baba tells me all these great things. He tells the whole world the same thing. But it's not the experience of it. It's only the understanding of it. He's given me a lot of understanding, but he hasn't given me the experience of his experience, you see. He said he would do that. He said, one day I'll give you the highest experience. He told this to me and my brother as we were leaving one day. So when that happens, it'll happen.
So you'll let us know?
Have a meeting anyway.
If you're around at the time, you don't need me. You got Baba. He's already got the experience. Why wait for me when you got him? Well, I think that's about as much to say to this evening, unless somebody wants to add something else.
Thank you.
Thank you. Meherabad.
Before Jamie closes it with a lovely song, I would just, because he mentioned being in where Babajan was. And in 1972, I had gone overland, short story, I had gone overland, and of course I had a little problem with my stomach because of the food, and it wasn't pretty. And so Paul, who had been to the 69 Darshan, said, let's go over to Babajan's tomb. And I was really new to Baba and all the workings of spirituality, etc. And there was the tree, the tomb, and there was the man or the guy who took care of the place. And he had a mortar and pestle. And he took some of the flowers off of the tomb and put it into the pestle, and then he poured some water from God knows where, and then he mixed it up, and I'm watching him mix it up. And then he takes two of these, they look like little tan or reddish ceramic where you put plants in, real tiny, like this big, and he takes the mortar and he pours it in, and he pours another one, and he gives one to Paul, and he gives one to me, and he says, drink it. And I'm like, are you kidding? And he smiled, and I took it, and my friend took it. Well, the next morning I woke up, I was completely 100% no problems. I became a believer. Jamie, it's yours. And I'll end it like I always do, Meherabad.
Irwin, thank you very much. I have to tell you, I always wanted to tell you this, I've never told Irwin this, but when I was little, 4 years old, I got in a terrible accident, almost died. I was hospitalized, and for 3 weeks, family weren't able to visit me. And when I came to Baba, I always wondered, what was Baba doing when I was in the hospital? Was he thinking of me? And that period, when I was in the hospital, was exactly the period, the 2 weeks that you were with Baba. And I always think of that when I hear you talking about Baba, being with Baba during that time. Yeah, I thank you for being a witness to Baba while I was in the hospital there. Dreamed I saw my Savior.
Oh, I had hoped you would sing that.
Waiting patiently. And in the silent darkness, he called out to me. As I saw him there, a tear ran from my eye. I hid my face so he would not see me cry. So he would not see me cry. So he would not see me cry. But he came close and dried my tears with his robe. I buried my face deep within its folds. He told me not to worry, for my fate had always been entwined with his, and I would always be with him. I would always be with him. Always be with him. I dreamed he took me high atop a golden hill and said this world only exists because it is my will. So do not try to change that which was meant to be. You are mine now, and your surrender is your gift to me. It is your gift to me. Your gift to me. I dreamed I saw my Savior come for all mankind. And when I awoke, I was surprised to find that somehow in that night so dark and lonely,